Good afternoon, good morning, good time of day, depending on what time you are seeing us at. Hello, everybody, as you start coming on in for today's Diogenes Club. Welcome to Sick of the Shit Publications. I'm Nick Perro, joined by my friend, Dr. Eric Lulov. We have a really good show that we're gonna have a really straightforward show today. I'm going to let people start coming on in. I want as many folks here as possible that are our friends, our audience, those who discuss things with us. We had a show today that we were going to do. We were going to be talking about, and I'm going to monologue a little bit here at the beginning, not like we normally do, where we normally just hit into things and we just start going. There's been some stuff that has been going on, and we want to hit it head on. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about intent versus impact. We want to own what has happened and where we fell short and where we can learn. This episode is going to be a lot about listening louder, hearing more, owning our intent versus our impact. And yes, please go to the Broad Banner Crypt Crow website and act. Help support disability rights. There's a couple things that have come out today. Chris Goldsmith just put an article out about that was founded, or that was the foundation of it was from a individual named Elizabeth Hartman. I have tagged both on that article that he put out. I put a little message out. I'm going to spread and share that throughout the day too. Hello, everyone. As you come on in, I see you all. So today's episode is we had a discussion we were going to do. Eric and I were going to put up some really cool graphics and actually talk about the corruption of the Trump boys and the corruption of the assholes on the Trump family and what they're doing, and actually discussing that. However, we're not going to do that today. We have some things we're going to talk about. We want to talk about, like I said, intent versus impact. I want to start first talking about what has happened this week with Chris Armitage and the Meta glasses, and the way that I first reached out to Doc G. And I know they are not here in the audience at the moment, or I haven't seen them come in the audience at the moment. But I do want to make sure this is stated very clearly, is the intent on that did not match the impact. And I'm sorry. My intent was never to question the validity of you or the validity of what happened to you. But that was not the impact that it gave. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that came out the way that it did. And that when I asked for further context, it was wrong. The way that I did it did not clearly represent the intent that I was hoping for. And that is something I want to own, and and I'm offering any space that is needed on whatever timeline for anyone who wants to discuss this. If Doc G, if you want to talk with me privately or publicly, the space is always available. And I'm sorry that I did not make that clear in my first steps when I reached out to you. I was looking to verify, and the way that it came out downplayed the significance in your story, and I am sorry. That was never my intent. And I know intent doesn't matter when the impact comes out that way. So that's the first thing I want to address is, Doc G, I'm sorry. I believe you. The way that I spoke about the Meta glasses, which I put out a couple long posts about, were also somewhat vague. And the intent behind those was to get to the root issue and not inflame emotions. And that probably also was the wrong. And in the end, that should have been more clear. I could have clearly tagged or called out Chris in the meta glasses. I did reach out to him privately, and I wrote him a very direct message on what I think about wearing those types of technology, and that I think he should have known better. That is for Chris to own. The impact of what Chris did is for Chris to own. The impact of what I said, though, is for me to own. The impact of how I put out messages is for me to own. And I will be more direct when it's necessary on issues like this going forward. I will always, and I'll say this in this way, I will always approach the individual privately and publicly at this point. I did that, and I did not do enough on that. So I'm sorry. And then my final piece on this before I bring in, before Eric and I get into the more discussion, is I want to make some clear statements that, and Naida, thank you for that comment. I don't think calling people out in public helps. Calling people in is better. And I think that's really, really important, is that we do need to call people in. The situations we're in on a national level, on state levels, in local areas, is a lot because we have pushed everyone out. We don't listen to each other. We don't listen loudly. We don't listen clearly. We listen to respond so many times rather than to hear. And that's a structural change that we need to fix. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what Diogenes Club is trying to do. That's what the Intelligent Masculinity series is trying to do. And I want to make sure I'm clear on what the intent and the direction of intelligent masculinity is because I think that's also being lost in some areas. Intelligent masculinity is not about endorsing the people specifically being interviewed as intelligently masculine. If you go back and listen to the episode where I had Lev Parnas on, he is not a perfect person. And in fact, one of the first things I said to him when we opened that interview was, man, you have done some shitty things in your life. And I approached that head on, and we're going to approach it head on. And I think the name Intelligent Masculinity has lost the intent behind the series. And I would love some feedback from people in the audience if they think there is a better name for the series that we could do, because I want the intent behind Intelligent Masculinity and what we're trying to do, which is the better humaning, which is learning and having public conversations with each other about our failings and where we have grown. I've spoken to many people I disagree with on that series. I've spoken with people that I agree with heavily on that series. I have spoken with people who I have spoken with one person, and I'll bring this back to Chris Armitage because that's part of the broader issue here, is I did an interview with Chris Armitage on Intelligent Masculinity. It is the only interview that I have not posted. And I am going to own the fact that I should have made it clear earlier why, is because he said something that was transphobic during the interview that really hurt some of the folks in my audience, that really brought out a lot of fear and danger in our audience. And I said, and I did not make it clear that there was a reason why I did not post it. I'm making it clear now because I should have done that earlier. Because I didn't post it because there were some transphobic things said that I did not want to platform or continue giving life to. I should have said that when it happened, and that is on me. It's on me to fix that and own that. And I'm sorry. And thank you for the audience. And thank you for everyone who's commenting. And I want to transition now before we've had at least one person ask if they want to come up and be part of the discussion. And I think that would be okay to do, to have more people in this discussion, because Wisconsin Zebra, emotional intelligence is the goal. Like, understanding emotional intelligence for ourselves is one of the primary goals of intelligent masculinity. It's not just about emotional intelligence, though. It's about physical intelligence. It's about body intelligence. It's a whole body approach, your mind and your body on the intelligence side. And I think if folks want to keep putting out ideas and thoughts on that, I really appreciate it, on how we can approach this, and how we can approach making that series itself even better, because I want that is one of my primary series. That's one of my favorite things to talk about, is how do we make ourselves better. And so I'm going to shift now, I guess, to the second part of our conversation. And Eric, I'll lead you into this. Is you went into Doc G's live yesterday or the other day and made a comment.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And I want to make sure that we approach that comment. And I want to give the floor to you. Is you made a comment that, in my view, was inappropriate in the situation. And Eric and I have talked about this. Eric and I have talked privately about this together. And now, like I said, we're going to talk publicly, because that's the right thing to do, is we talk privately, in my opinion. That's not for everybody. It does not have to be everybody's opinion. I'm just giving what I'm doing right now. Eric and I talked about this privately. I have been getting feedback nonstop from women and from people who are not me and who don't look like me. I am asking for feedback, because I want to make sure that what I'm doing doesn't hurt those that I advocate for. And so, Eric, let's approach this comment. Is you made a comment in Doc G's chat asking why it wasn't done privately. And
because I came late into the chat, I was trying to get caught up with the conversation.
Yes. And so I want to, yes, the question itself can be very benign, and the intent didn't match the impact.
Correct.
And I think that's where we really need to focus. And Eric, I want to give you the floor to talk about it. I may interrupt you if I need to. You and I know this. We interrupt each other when we need to too. Is I just want to give you the floor to talk about it, to say your statement on what you need to say here to help rectify the impact of that statement.
So when you started the show, when you're talking about intent versus outcome, right? So my intent in going into that chat, which was a mistake, first of all, that was something I never should have done, especially coming in late. Two, and it wasn't like I just came in and just started popping off in the chat. I was listening for a few minutes, but the question I asked was insensitive. Didn't have enough of the entire situation analyzed, and didn't have enough of the information about what had happened to properly ask that question in a format, or even not even ask the question in its entirety, and just give Dr. G space to discuss what had happened. What I do want to say is that I have always championed, supported, platformed, women creators in this space, because the algorithms are designed to make them compete, not to make them hurt. And that was the role of my article this morning, for those of you that haven't read it yet. But the ultimate point here is that this is an apology from me to those who I have wronged. If anything that I had said in any way, shape, or form was meant or taken in offense, I deeply apologize, because that's not the person that you see in front of you. Judge me by my actions, not by my gender. And I'd rather just leave it at that.
That's fair. I think we need to own our mistakes. We're going to have our friend Ashley A. Lauren come on here too. She's asked to join the show and have a discussion with us. Hey, Robes, welcome. Hey, everyone in the audience. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for adding to this discussion with us. There's a lot of emotion, and we want to address it head on.
I just need to say one more thing, and I don't want to inflame the situation, okay? We were, two wrongs don't make a right. It wasn't okay for me to comment what I said in the chat, but it also wasn't appropriate, the responses that were given back to me. Like, it's not okay to then blast me into oblivion for something that I didn't cause the harm. I just became the figure statuing target because I happened to be in the room.
I'm going to just interject in here so that we don't go down a path of blame for everyone. No. I know where your intent is on this.
Yeah.
I know where your intent is on this.
Maybe I'm not phrasing it properly, but
and the impact on it is going to be really not what you want. I'm going to just say that the impact from continuing down that discussion is not going to be a good one, because
and I don't want, actually, let's not even go there, because I don't want it to minimize.
We're not here to minimize any of the harm that has been done.
That's not my point. That's not my intent here. I do not want any harm that has already been done. The point is to learn from this.
Yes. And I think for now, my intent is not to wash myself clean. I am owning the fact that the way that I first approached Doc G in private message was not taken the way that I had hoped it would be. My intent and the impact was wrong. And we want to own that. I want to own that, is that I will do better. And that's why we're here. We shifted our entire conversation today from what we had originally intended for this show to be, to ensure that we are very clear. I openly denounce any form of rape culture, always.
As do I.
I was not clear enough in my messages, and the intent did not hit, or the impact was not enough in the messages I put out. And I think it's important that I own that and learn on it. I'm owning that what am I owning is that I did not do enough, and the way that I had asked for further context and approached the situation was harmful to Doc G. And I should have been much clearer on how I said it. I should have come in much different. I should have come in differently, because I was asking for additional context and additional information so I could be well informed on how I spoke. And the way that it was asked didn't come across the way that it was intended. And so that's what I'm owning. is I'm owning that I didn't do enough. That the way, oh, Ashley just dropped off. I was going to bring her in. And so that's really what I wanted to say for me. And I want to make sure that we don't go down any roads of minimizing impact on others, no matter what our intent was. And so, hey, Neuro, thanks for joining. We have been discussing. I'll catch you up, and I'll catch everybody up. Ashley, come back when you can. I'm going to bring you in. Is we're owning the fact that our intent over these last couple days has not matched the impact that it should have, and we need to do better. And we need to learn from this. We're here to listen louder. We're here to address and adjust where needed so that we can be proper advocates and allies in this, because I advocate for these rights all the time. I disown anything about rape culture. It is disgusting. It is dehumanizing. And it is on all of us to fix that. It is on men to fix other men. It is on women to fix other women. It is on others who are not in the gender heteronormative spectrum to fix themselves and each other too. There is rape culture across the spectrum, and we are addressing that. And I want to be accountable for that. I'm owning the fact that my actions hurt somebody, that hurt Doc G. And that was never my intent. But the intent doesn't matter because the impact was the harm. And so, Eric, do you have anything else you want to put in there? I'm hoping Ashley joins us as well. And if there's others who may want to try and come in, let us know. I'm happy to bring up other voices, because this is a really important conversation to own our faults and take accountability. The definition that I've come up with for intelligent masculinity is it is the refusal to outsource accountability onto others and the willingness to live with the consequences of our values and actions. And the consequences of this week I need to learn how to approach these situations in a way that is clear, in a way that doesn't harm. Yeah, I'd love to understand what that term means. Empathetic. I'd love to. I don't know what that term actually means.
Let me get what I need to say out, Nick, because
yeah, I'm going to bring Naida in as well. Naida Green. She asked if she could jump in too, and I'd love to have her feedback. But go ahead.
What I'm not going to get into what I said, but whatever I had said, it was wrong. It wasn't clumsy. It wasn't taken out of context. It was just wrong. Okay. The people that I had said the comment to don't owe me any benefit of the doubt, and I'm not going to ask for it. Okay. I have written before about knowing the difference between speaking for women and standing beside them. And in that particular moment, I didn't do either one of those. It's one thing to hold a principle on the page. It's the other to hold it live. And I didn't have any time to edit myself before I had stupidly sent the question. And I failed that harder test, and the failure is mine alone. I don't get to be the one that decides how quickly this is forgiven or whether it even is forgiven. What I can always do is be very clear about where I stand on things, is that sexual violence is not a punchline. It's not a hypothetical. It's never rhetorical. It's a culture. We are living a culture that treats any one of those things as one that I've always spent my entire platform arguing against on this show and others, and in my writings and publications. And in that one moment in time, I undercut my own argument with my own words, and I'm accountable for that gap. So to anyone who has trusted me before and about meaning what I write and what I say and heard something different from me, I am sorry. And I'm just gonna sit with this than rush past it because I need to listen louder and learn from this. And like, Nick earlier, I'm open to discussing this. But it cannot be on a one-way. It's got to be an open bilateral conversation. It can't be a one-way street of just bashing the hell out of it. That's not how this works.
And we're not looking for sympathy. At least I'm not
No
looking for sympathy. There's no sympathy that is needed towards me. There's no, I don't need sympathy. I'm just here to own what happened and learn from it. So we have brought on two friends here. Good morning. Good afternoon. We've got Ashley A. Lauren with us and Naida Green. Welcome, friends. Thank you for joining us and being a part of this conversation and helping us learn and grow. So
can I just say something
yeah
about this? So I'm saying this in my personal capacity, not as CEO of Disability Community for Democracy. That's why I took the background down. And I do think it's important because I am a sexual assault survivor via intimate partner violence and also a person of color. We need to also talk about that nuance and what's happening here. That's why I said I was willing to come on. I spoke a little bit about this earlier, and a lot of this is triggering for me. So I'm doing this as I am reharming myself to have this conversation. And I just want people to understand that I'm doing this not because these two men are my friends. I am doing this because I need people to understand the racial nuance to this conversation as well. That's why I'm doing this.
Heard.
I'm muted. Thank you, Naida. Thank you for saying that clearly too. And I'm sorry that you have to relive any of your experiences. I know I didn't do them to you in any way. I'm just sorry that you.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize. It just makes it worse.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for stopping me.
Thank you for being here, though.
Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for having the courage to share and the courage to be open and discuss this. Ashley, welcome.
Hey, welcome. Hey, Naida. You're awesome, by the way. Thank you and Nick. You guys, thank you for all that you're doing. I know it's a lot. I know the more involved you get, I feel this on my own. And Eric we can all, we all try to.
Yep.
Oh, we lost her.
Did I lose you?
We lost your camera.
Is it just my feed that's weird?
Yep.
We can still hear you. We just can't see you anymore.
Yeah, your voice sounds like a little alien.
She did the disappearing.
Sorry if you could hear me.
It's a disappearing
Sorry,
camera
it's not funny, but it is. You know what? I'm gonna take just see if I can do this.
You sound great though. So
yeah,
you sound great in this. Oh, she left.
She gone.
So Naida,
by the way,
you want to
real quick, Naida, that was a great show you did with Dan and Lawrence this morning. That was A+.
Oh my God, it was so powerful.
That was a powerful conversation this morning.
Thank you. It was a hard one because it's Disability Pride Month, and it's been hard over the last few days.
Okay.
Yeah, we could see you. Go ahead, Ashley. Go ahead. I can share. Oh.
No, and she's gone again.
All right.
We'll work with Ashley on that as we go here.
Ashley's having technical problems, right?
Yeah. My theory of the case of what's happening is there's a lot of layers here. There is, of course, the trauma of, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I am a woman who is gender nonconforming. And so I understand I am not trans, and I'm just gonna make this clear. I am not transgender, so I cannot speak about that experience, but I can speak about what it's like to be a woman who's gender nonconforming and have to deal with that nuance when men are being disrespectful. And then also as a woman of color who is both Black American and Latina, and I get sexualized in that space, especially when I used to straighten my hair and wear more feminine looking clothing. Like I used to wear dresses all the time and stuff like that. And that's what I felt comfortable with when I was younger. The nuance is getting lost here, right? Like Chris did what Chris did. Doc G had the response, and I'm looking at this from like, and I don't know like the whole like story around the metal glasses and everything. However, it doesn't matter if like how you speak to people does matter. And I'm saying this as a survivor of sexual assault. If you're attacking a person because they're asking a question, all it does is push people away. It does not help, right? And it was like blame all men and all of that. And I'm like, I can't do that, because as a person who is Black, who traces some of their ancestry to descendants of slavery in this country, Black men and specifically have been murdered over rape culture. And Black women have been disproportionately assaulted due to rape culture. So I stayed out of it because it was like the nuance was getting lost. And Nick and Eric both know how I feel about white men, in the progressive space. I don't trust them at all because of my experience with them, especially around race and disability. And if I'm on this platform saying that these are two good men and that, we're not perfect, I've had bad reactions over my own personal experience around assault and what people have said, then, yes, people have a right to make the decision to, decide to forgive people for the things that they say. But as somebody who I'm a survivor of intimate partner violence, which included sexual assault. I am also a crime survivor in terms of my cousin being murdered, and I forgave the person who killed my cousin because it was done in an intimate partner situation. I think we need to take a step back and look at none of us are perfect. And unfortunately, at least from what I'm seeing, the people who this happened to, neither one of them are perfect in this either. And that's the scary part of this whole story. It's like this person's reacting and this person's reacting, and we're lumping all the different harms together, and we just need to treat people as human beings. That's my point of view on this, is that we're all human and we need to understand the cultural nuances of what's happening, but we also don't get to be disrespectful to people when they're asking questions. And even if you're triggered, you got to take a step back and look at why you're triggered. I learned that in therapy myself. Why am I being triggered? And I'm saying this as a survivor myself. So I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense to people.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It was honest.
Ashley, you're in with us too.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
No, I don't want to. Just take it like this. No, Mom, I don't want to. Well, you can.
Kids are important in this too.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, do you not hear us?
And unfortunately, I'm going to say this: women have weaponized their trauma, and so have people who are gender nonconforming and trans at times. And I say this as somebody who's had it actually happen to me, been on what happened to Eric. So I've been in Eric's shoes when, I've misspoken and the trauma was weaponized. So I just want to just say that too.
And I think this is, in my opinion, I think this is just a really important conversation. that we open ourselves to feedback, and that we're willing to step back ourselves and understand where we cause harm. And thank you, Naida, for having to relive through trauma to talk about this and re-expose yourself to that experience to discuss this, because I don't know that experience in that way. I don't know that experience, and I can't talk about it.
I can't either. No way.
And we're just trying to learn. And my goal is to learn to listen louder. Like I say a lot now is listen louder, hear more. And this week I am listening louder. I have reached out to as many people in my circle who I can to ask, to understand, to learn and grow. I've reached out to as many folks around me as I can who have experiences I don't, so that I can understand where I did harm or where I didn't, and how I can grow from it, what that experience caused others, because I don't want to inflame others' experiences. I don't want to harm. I don't want to lessen others' experiences.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the root of what we can fix, because I can't fix the harm that was done, but I can address and talk about what needs to happen going forward. I can address that issues need to be spoken, and the intentionality of this discussion is to address that, is take accountability where we can. And our friend Neuro in the chat made a really good point, was forgiveness has to be earned. And that goes for all of us. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I have to earn that. I have to earn trust back. I have to earn that back in my actions, and not just intend it to happen. I have to earn that back.
But I'm also going to say this, that does not mean that that you need to put yourself, like hang yourself by the stake either. And I said this to you in private. I said, you're not feeling well. You also have a disability. And I want people to understand, like, when we have to address harm, we also are harming ourselves at times physically on top of that. And I said to Nick, I think you should cancel, not because he's trying to get out of it. He's not feeling well.
I slept for 13 hours last night.
Okay, but
because
still.
my body, no, I'm saying this in the I'm not feeling well. My body shut down yesterday. The stress of this week on trying to figure out how I can be a good advocate, along with the stress of the Olmstead decision and the actions that are being done there, and the support that we need to put in to get disability rights codified. My body gave up last night. Like, I fell asleep at 8 o'clock at night, and I slept for 13 hours, and I woke up in a flare. And Naida told me, "Don't do your show today. Take care of yourself." Yes, love. I'll be right back, y'all.
Okay, it's cool. So, and I'm not excusing what Nick and what happened in the interaction. It still needs to be addressed, but not at this point of your own health. I'm sorry. Like,
I would never advocate for that anyway. No. Your health has to come primarily first. You have to be able to take care of you first. And that's standard.
I'm literally saying, like, some of the stress that maybe what's happening, and I need people to understand context. We have administration that wants to who does not value anybody who isn't white, male, and heterosexual, like, or heterosexual presenting, right? Right. And then white women who are adjacent to that, right? Who fall into that category. And when you have a disability, and both Eric and Nick are Jewish on top of that, so they are marginalized in terms of their religion. I don't know, Eric, if you're heterosexual or not. I'm not going to make that assumption, but you also have to deal with like marginalization around the anti-Semitism on in this space. Is that you get to a point where you want context for things because you do not want to say the wrong thing. And we're all human beings, we're not perfect. And I want people to understand that when your rights are under attack, and they can now say state and territories and local government and county government, if you need help and you go to one of those state facilities, that, hey, we can now put you in them. And like, there's grace that needs to be given there too. And just because these two men are white, that does not mean they don't have to deal with marginalization. And I hate the fact that we ignore marginalization just because somebody has a skin tone that gives them some privilege, because that's also harmful. Because I know plenty of poor white people who are more harmed by the system because they don't have the education and class privilege that I have. So I just want to say that too, that Nick has a lot on his plate. He owned it. He has apologized. Eric has owned his stuff and apologized. But I also want people to look at nuance, and it's not always all about you. And I've owned my stuff. I have apologized to people when I have said some stuff, but I don't apologize if somebody's being ableist or, or minimizing or being hypocritical. And I have called people out for the hypocrisy in this space, especially around, anti-Semitism, and especially around ableism, when they say, listen to Black women, and they're not listening to me, right? And because my political beliefs don't match theirs. Or when I say you're not doing it in an intersectional manner, I mean, Nick has seen what I've gone through, and I, will own my stuff when necessary. But in this case, everybody played a part in what happened and why it's gotten to this point. And it's not about victim shaming. It's about everyone's an adult and everybody has to own their stuff.
There's a term we all use in medical legal called comparative liability, where everybody who's involved has a role and a responsibility in damages that are caused to a patient. And I'm just going to say this. I mean, I'm 55, so I'm one of the older Gen Xers, and it's not a generational thing. I cannot excuse the behavior of people who weaponize their traumas, because that's not being intelligent either. That's not being mature enough to understand that weaponizing your own trauma, it's almost like doubling down on it, tripling down on it. You're trying to still make somebody else responsible for your trauma that they had nothing to do with. And my role here was not to whitewash it or forgive what I've done. That's, again, just like Nick said, I'm not asking for forgiveness. Okay, it's not mine to give or mine to take. It's got to earn. But at the same time, you cannot ignore
technology
lifetime
sucks.
body of
I don't know
work.
if you guys can hear me.
We can.
Can you hear us?
I hope that people can see beyond.
Yeah, like I want.
Or the action.
I lost a subscriber, by the way, over this. I lost a subscriber over this because I'm working with Nick on this. Like somebody was like, I'm out. And I'm like, I had nothing to do with I am not even a part of this at all. Like, I have no role in this. And somebody was like, I'm no longer going to subscribe. And I'm like, I didn't even do
They're
anything.
an adult. They have a choice. That's their choice as an adult.
No, I'm just saying that's what happened to me, and I told Nick about it. But I don't think that was fair. Like, like they were very cryptic on why they, were warning me. And I'm just like, I'm not involved, and I also don't do gossip because it wasn't even coming from the person that it was happening to. And so I just also want to be clear there. Like, I'm also catching strays, as they say, for wanting to actually fight for liberal democracy in a community that is being ignored. Like this is deeper than just like this Substack controversy, which is harmful. I'm not minimizing that, but at the end of the day, no one's going to care about this when they want to cart you away and stick you in an institution. No one's going to care about this if they, they're not going to care that this person didn't like this person. They're going to look at all of us who are pushing back and saying, like, you won't conform, you need to be institutionalized, or or you're going to lose out. And we just need to be unified and understand that we're not perfect. And yes, we got to watch our intent, and we got to pay attention to our intent and stuff like that, but we cannot weaponize our trauma. And I'm saying this as somebody who probably could weaponize their trauma in every single way possible. And I don't. Nick knows I don't. I own stuff that he has told me I don't need to own. And that's all I'm going to say on this. I need to actually do some self-care because my food is here.
Yeah, go do that.
And I hope this helped. I hope this gave some context to the racial portion of what's happening here. Because this is not, if this was a male versus female, white versus white person, I would not be involved. But there was racial stuff going on here too, at least from my perspective. That's not being talked about. So
thanks, Nate. I appreciate you.
You're
with us.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later, Nick. And
yeah, we talk all the time, Nate, and I we'll be back. Thanks, friend.
Love Anita. Thank you.
And hopefully we can get Ashley working, and if not, we'll get her on for a discussion. And I do want to make sure that we are very clear, as I am not talking about anyone behind their back.
Mm-mm.
I am addressing a harm that I did, and I wanted to own that.
As did I.
And I cannot say, from my perspective, I cannot say if someone is weaponizing their trauma or not. That is my stance on this. I do not know, because it's not my trauma. It's not my trauma. I cannot say if somebody is weaponizing or not. That is not at all the message that I am putting out. And if that was what the impact was, again, I'm very sorry. Like, my intent and the impact I would like to have is that we are all on the same page, and that we can move forward with each other, and that we can hear each other's traumas, and we can see and get to the roots and actually fix the damn problem. I want to fix these fucking problems. Rape culture is disgusting.
It's evil.
It's evil. It is hurtful. It is hateful. And I am not here to downplay anyone's trauma at all, ever. And we've talked about this from the beginning, is that we are owning this mistake, and I am not asking for forgiveness, because forgiveness is not something I can ask or demand for. Forgiveness is something earned, because trust has to be earned back, and I broke that trust. And that is something I will live with. There is a consequence to that action. And part of that consequence, it doesn't matter what was said. That's the point of all of this.
Right.
Thomas, I see what you're trying to get at, but the point doesn't matter of what exactly was said. It's like the point of Chris Armitage wearing those meta glasses. The point isn't that he didn't record or did record. The point is he was wearing them in the first place. The point is that there was a mistake and that we need to own the mistake and fix it. Not with conditions on the apology, not with anything like that. It is own it. And forgiveness is granted by the forgiver, by the person who, and it's not even forgiveness is granted to us. Forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness is you are forgiving and moving forward. Doc G talked about that, talked about forgiveness and how it is a personal act. And I absolutely agree, 100% behind those statements. Forgiveness is something that is granted to yourself. And yes, you may be forgiven, but it's not really for you. Well, the subject is impact versus intent. That's the subject, is impact versus intent, and owning and accounting for the accountability for our actions.
You know, Nick, like I've been pretty clear. I think you and I have been pretty clear on this about where we are. You know, I have written about this. I have stayed in my lane, and I have let my co-author, who was Ashley of that article, it wasn't for me to comment on the trauma that she needed to get out. Like I know the lane I'm supposed to be in. I know my lane. And as a man, it's not my place to comment on the effect of what sexual assault or rape or trauma, that level of trauma, does to a woman. It is not my lane. Okay? I can present it in a clinical format, but the story and the emotive trauma behind that is not my story to ever tell. And that is what I try to hold very true to myself in my platform and when I write, is that I don't want that principle to ever be violated with my co-authors, my guests, my friends on here, you know, my colleagues, my co-creators. You know, that's just where we have to live. That's the space I have to live in. And it's acknowledging everybody's trauma, both men and women, because men can be traumatized in the same way. And it's understanding that, but we all have to learn how to deal with our traumas and learn how to cope and get help and get the mental health services required to help process the traumas.
And we don't have those services.
We don't have enough.
Is an issue. The services aren't there. The support systems aren't there.
I have talked about this extensively through what the Maha movement's trying to do, what the cuts to the American healthcare system have done. But you think it's bad now? Wait till January when the Medicaid cuts kick in 27, and forget the shit with Olmstead and what they're trying to do with all that. But it's all about, they are trying to marginalize anything that has to do with mental health disease, physical disease, learning disability issues. It's all this massive, literally a whitewash of we need to turn this country into a whites only club, but the whites are the ones that are Christian and don't have any physical issues and don't have any mental challenges or have kids that have learning disabilities or have mental health challenges. You're talking about a very select limit of the population. And that is not a world that I grew up in. It's not a world that we are living in. It's not a community that we live in Substack. Certainly not with my friend to my left here, who is a dear friend. And our other two friends, Evan and Walter, who are not here, who support all of the platforms that we support, the candidates for Congress, our friends, I have supported a lot of creators on this platform voluntarily, without question. not just monetarily, but being in the chats and being supportive of their work and restacking and doing the things that a responsible person does when you're trying to move a community. And it's about community building. And shit like this just tears it all down. Because that's what they want. And we have to fight like hell for it every day. Just like we have to fight like hell to protect our disability community. We have to fight our LGBTQ community. We have to fight our children, our educational communities. Hey, Ash. Welcome back.
Welcome, Ashley. And yeah, like there was an article that came out yesterday around the VA, and disability rights are directly under attack for the VA now. Directly under attack. The VFW is now being attacked for putting out a statement that what is going on is wrong.
What?
That is all I am focused on right now. I have put everything else to the side.
And it's sad that you have to, but it's such an important topic of conversation because it directly affects your life and your family's life.
I'm feared going to the doctor.
Yeah. Well,
because I do my mental health at the VA.
Yeah.
And they're going to start re-rating people.
You know,
well, that was an interesting sound, Ashley. I don't know if you can hear us.
That was new.
But it was an interesting I liked it. Ashley's having some tech problems. We can hear you.
Everybody got like the original topic of our show today. Yeah, hi Ash.
You can
hear us?
I can't hear you at all.
Yes.
And I'm ready to throw this fucking thing out the window. Sorry. Change of tone, everyone. Dear God.
No.
So I'm not quite sure how I can do this with. If I
Neuro,
talk over you,
I'm going to put it in the chat.
I can't hear anything.
I'm going to put it in the chat. Which publication? So there's two that have been going on.
There's no way you can just do regular Substack ad A, because I don't know if it's this fancy one is just not. Okay.
No, not the same.
So I'm just going to talk, and I cannot read lips. So if you have something to say, just text me. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. I'm so glad I tried to get like a nice little thing going here, and it doesn't work anyway. So on this topic, on this subject, this is it's been brewing and brewing and brewing. I can't go. Okay, thank you. Gotcha. Thank you so much for that confidence in there.
We're gonna do smoke signals next.
I don't know, months it feels like, right? That like it's so. I'm just gonna speak from what I'm feeling or whatever. So it's just my point of view, you know, just my opinion. Perception rather. So it's difficult because we're all angry. And I don't know where the camera is here to look. That's how many selfies I take. But we're all angry, right? Stuff sucks. We're all the reason why we're on here, I think, on this platform is that we're trying to do something. Whatever it is, right? And we're all really angry. And we feel, I think, sometimes that nothing is actually getting done for change because it takes a long time. But the thing is that we're getting mad at each other, and we're kind of putting this pressure on the community that we're spending time in for us all to meet the expectations of other people. Not to say that we shouldn't follow by standards, because we should. And I know myself, there's so many issues that are really important. And it's not that I don't feel strongly about them. It's just, I don't know. We only have so much time for what we have. But I think we want to pick that fight sometimes with people because we're angry and we have all this stuff going on. And so it's really easy to see, you know, something and be like, well, that's not to say it's not wrong. But what I'm saying is we're fighting with each other. It's almost like, you know, your family, you're shittiest to the people you're closest with. Right. Same here. Like, I think we're all on here because we're trying to do some good. Not that we're perfect, not that we always say the right thing or we understand other people's frame of mind or reference to how when something is said, it stirs something in them. But I think that that's like kind of key here, what I keep going back to. It's like, at least we're all people that are trying to do better in some aspect, for what it's worth. And I mean, I can speak on the fact that, and I am going to say this about these two guys, just because they mean something to me in the regards of, not because of any other reason other than they were just cool and nice to me at a time that I really fucking needed it. Like, really needed it. Needed to, I don't know. I just went through, a really hard time with abuse and involved my kids, and it's just whatever. And it ended in a way that was like very unsettling, and it took the wind out of me. Just, I think I got to the point where I was always trying to like be the bigger person, be a good person, do and give, and then it seems like you just get, it can seem sometimes like you just get screwed either way. And I was just done, like completely empty. As far as when I had the kids, I was good, but when I didn't, I was donezo. And they all reach out, and I think virtual audiences, it's all kind of weird, right? I mean, when you're not used to it, but it meant something to me in the fact that's more than just, we can pick up on little things that are said and use it to judge people. And that's okay. I understand that. But if we can also remember that, like, we're not perfect. You can see how done and undone my little space is here. Try not to show the laundry. But what I'm saying is, we all need to kind of fucking relax in a way too, a little bit. Not to say that it's not, what they're apologizing for isn't warranted. I get that. I'm not saying that. But life is so hard, man. It's hard. And we're all trying, I think, to be better in some way. And so that's my piece. Is just that, like, we are all out here at least trying in some capacity to do or be better human beings. And, I don't know. I mean, I can be an asshole sometimes. I don't mean to be, but we all can be like that. So I think we share in that regard. And, I'm sorry this isn't more of a discussion going back and forth, but I can't hear anything. So it is what it is. But whatever, that's my thing. And, I mean, I think
go back to
we all mean well.
Communication here.
And I think sometimes, I think, like, for me, I don't live in other people's heads. Same things, they don't live in mine. So things that, like, upset me and bother me, I'm not aware of sometimes when I do things. But I do want to know. I can take constructive criticism because I do want to be better. That's the goal here. And I think they're kind of like that too, in a way. But give them shit if they need it. I'm not going to say that, like, no earmuffs here. So I get that part of it, but they're the kind of people that are receptive. I mean, trust me, you want to talk about men who are abusive and things that they say. I mean, this is not even anywhere near the, not to say it doesn't upset people, but, just, we all try to do better and give these guys a break a little bit. So that's my point of view. That's my 2 cents, and it is what it is. Mwah. All right, I'm going to get off. Thank you. Sorry it was such a clusterfuck, but, that's my life. Bye.
Thanks, Ashley. And I know she couldn't hear us there, and we couldn't have a good back and forth, which is unfortunate because I love talking with Ashley, and I love the conversation that we've been having in this chat and in this overall discussion. And we've gone an hour discussing this with that, and I think it's
that too. God,
it's gone fast.
The actual topic of our show is supposed to be eye on the prize.
Yeah, we have a really good discussion for next week already planned out.
I'll have more data.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking next week about the Trump children, specifically Don Jr. and Eric, because they are disgusting human beings, and they spent 4 years or even longer projecting all of what they do onto someone like Hunter Biden. Everything about Hunter is really the truth about them. And we want to talk about that next week. But today's conversation, today's back and forth was super important, was necessary, because we need to own our accountability.
Which
And I'm gonna
will make us better men and better people.
Yeah, which helps us learn to listen louder, to hear more, to address flaws and faults in ourselves, and then work on them with those around us, because it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop with us making a direct apology in this manner. It doesn't stop with us owning this and owning our own failures. It is the next step of what do we do after that? How do we then take this learning to, not just for ourselves, but for those around us? And so I want to thank everyone for being a part of this conversation, for interacting with us, with the feedback and the comments and the discussion. And I know it's not related to this conversation in any way. I want to make sure that I do a final shout out before we leave. Is one, I want to thank both Naida and Ashley for coming on and reliving their traumas. For Naida, reliving her trauma and telling us and sharing it. And that takes so much courage. And I hope this opens space for others. My goal is to open space so that we can fix these root problems. I want to help. It's part of that help fix things that men have been taught, is instinctually I want to help fix it. And I know I may not be the right person to do that. I'm not going to be the face of that. I don't need to be the face of that. But I do need to be the face of owning it for myself and helping others around me see it. And I think that's important, is own your sphere of influence and be the best you can there so that we can all grow. Eric. Oh, and then I wanted to give my shout out.
You're not done.
Eric, I'm going to let you speak here. But the big thing that's off topic is please, I'm going to make sure that it's included in the article too, is not only go to broadbanner.com/crip-crow, which I don't remember if I have where the graphic was for that. There it is go to broadbanner.com/crip-crow and advocate for disability rights and freedoms, because these rights, when they get taken from all of us, not just people with disabilities. This is an attack on dissent. This is an attack on those who are not within the tiny nationalist bubble. It is an attack on all of us. And Chris Goldsmith put out a really powerful article this morning too, that completely credits the author who brought it to his attention, which is Elizabeth Hartman, who he interviewed. I believe he interviewed her. But there was a story that came out yesterday from Elizabeth Hartman that public statements by the VFW as promoting, quote, inflammatory, fear-mongering, and dangerous political rhetoric to VA Secretary Doug Collins, asking that the Department of Veterans Affairs to review whether the VFW should continue to be accredited to represent veterans seeking disability benefits. That is fucking appalling.
Yeah, that's fucking disgusting. I'm sorry.
And I wish I had more energy and I wish I felt good to talk about that right now because
Well, that's part of their re-rating system. That's what they want to do.
They want to re-rate. And what this will impact is ratings on things like tinnitus, sleep apnea, and they want to re-rate us so that they can save money because we're not fucking worth it in their eyes.
But you know what he did? This is how he fucking did it because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, Doug Collins is a piece of shit.
Okay. That what he did was he signed a final rule on February 11th and then invoked an emergency authority to bypass the 60-day congressional review period. Okay. And then the VA also at that point then skipped the typical advanced public comment. So for those of you that are not really sure how the government systems work, anytime an agency creates a rule, they have to do a public comment period before that rule becomes policy, before it becomes longstanding policy. CMS is guilty of this all the time when the three things they don't do when it comes to like final rules is they have to open up comment for is the hospital outpatient fee schedule, the physician fee schedule, and the hospital fee schedule. And those they have to do final rules for, and they're supposed to do them for coverage policies too. But this is the same type of thing. This is changing the VA's longstanding policy by an emergency invocation authority to bypass the 60-day congressional review period and then to completely bypass the public comments. And then the substance of the change is what's really the contested part. What Nick was talking about was that the VA examiners had to consider what a veteran's disability would look like without medication. And then the inversion of all that is really what is at the heart of the disability rights objection is that, the reason why this was part of our show that we were going to do today too. So that's why I'm so prepped on it. But the VFW put it plainly, the VA is supposed for years. And I know for a fact, because I asked one of the attorneys that I do ALJ stuff with, and he was a VFW, Veterans Affairs Administrative Law Judge. And he literally said this, that the VA could never reduce ratings based on the effects of medication, requiring the evaluation of a veteran's true functional impairment. This is the new rule that's going to reverse that standard, directing examiners to re-rate disabilities as they present and to disregard unmedicated baseline severity. So for somebody like Nick, who requires medication, his baseline's totally different on medication versus off. Okay? And then what really happens is that it's gonna lead veterans to stop taking medications so that it rates them higher. And we're talking 6 million veterans. And this is the fucking danger with these people in the administration. That they are willing to do this to our veterans. So imagine what you think they're going to do to the general population. And that's why what Nick and Nieta are doing is so important. And I just want to make the clarification here that the Holocaust was 6 million Jews. The VA has 6 million veterans. It's almost like a little mini Holocaust they're recreating with disability ratings with the VA.
The whole goal is
it's
just to save money and get rid of us because we are a drain.
Was they backed off of that rule? They backed off of that rule, but then they dumped it into the new disability shit that they're doing.
Yes, and part of what they're trying to do is force veterans who are medically retired or retired to choose between their retirement payment that they get through the VA for serving or through the government for serving for 20 plus years, or do you get your disability? One or the other, not both. And I'm going to explain here, I'm going to say this. It might sound like that's double tapping. It's fucking not.
No, it's eugenics.
Retirement is your pension. You earn that. Government employees after 20 years get a pension. And for service, if you were in the military, even if you're not in service in the military, well, if you're in for 20 years and then you say go to work as a post office individual or someone else, somewhere else in the government, that adds to your federal retirement, your pension through the federal government.
Yep.
They want to make it so veterans have to choose between one or the other because
But
money.
not retired Congress people after 6 years.
Yeah, but Congress people can get whatever the fuck they want after 6 fucking years and not have to work a day in their life again. And they ain't disabled. Not any, many of those
They
folks.
are because they've been in
Some
Congress.
of them are. Some of them are. And I won't downplay any of their disabilities. But the fact that they get a retirement after 6 fucking years that nobody ever talks about, yet here we are taking veterans' rights away and disability. The veteran community is the most diverse community in this country, aside from the disability community. And you know who's a major part of the disability community? The fucking veteran community.
Bingo.
And we could spend another hour just talking about this one fucking thing.
Conversation.
We could spend all of our time talking about this.
So the only thing I want to say is there was that. So what's still pending in federal court, by the way, is the enforcement. And there was litigation called it's the Ingram case. This is what's currently still sitting in the federal circuit. Is that the Ingram case is still sitting in the federal circuit with the litigation over the medication change. So the enforcement was halted because of the lawsuit, but the rule was never rescinded. So this is still going, everybody. Like this is like complete fucking chaos. And if they are successful at this, we are all severely fucked. Because that's the main domino that goes. When you screw over the veterans, that's a massive domino. And I as one who treats veterans, who my best friends are veterans, this is really fucking messed up. I mean, do you like if you live in Maine right now, this is a monster election.
And they're better. I hope someone fucking steps up real quick.
Why I'm saying Maine is because Maine has more veterans that live in the state of Maine than most states in the country. They have the largest population of retired veterans.
So I'm going to shout this out to my veteran friends and brothers and sisters and others in arm, anywhere on the spectrum, anywhere in between. If you are a veteran, you now have a mission. You have a mission again. Welcome. Welcome to the mission of saving our fucking rights. Welcome back, brothers, sisters, and others in arms. You're in this fight now too, and if you're not an ally or an advocate. This bill that they misname as let me get the name here because it's fucking it is one of the most misleading names ever, is Take Care of America's Veterans Act. Yeah, take care of us, all right, by fucking eliminating us.
Michelle?
That's what this is. It is to take care to eliminate us. It is fucking bullshit. And that's where I need to be spending my time now too. That's where I'm going to be spending, because I've shifted focus on this platform as much as I didn't want to, is we're now under direct assault on disability rights from across the board, on veteran issues and on civilian side. And if you are not on board, you better fucking get there. This is my life. This is my wife's life. This is my children. This is my parents. This is my brothers and their families. We don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You do. I mean, your choice is to stay silent, or it's to do something. And doing something means joining the calls and advocacy for the Crip Crow, to speak out against this Save Our Veteran or Take Care of America's Veterans Act bullshit, because that is a lie. They don't want to take care of us. They want to take our ratings away. They want to take our retirements away. They want to take our friends and family away. So we won't let them. All right, y'all. I'm going to end it here. My wife's giving me a call. I hope everyone has a wonderful day and a wonderful afternoon. Fight back, stand up, say no to Crip Crow, and we're done being sick of this shit. Thanks, everyone.